You wrote, quote, "In my view, there is no real rival to originalism when it comes to the proper method of interpretation." And you noted at the same time that, I'm quoting you, "Originalism recognizes that there may be hard cases, but most cases, including the high-profile ones, are not hard, whether there's a constitutional right to abortion, same-sex marriage, sodomy, pornography, transgender protections. The answer for the originalist is simple: no." Do you think that all the members of the United States Supreme Court share your perspective and your view on originalism?
Senator,
Yes or no?
Senator, I understand the justices on the Supreme Court hold different views on the method of interpreting the Constitution.
So not all of them hold your view that originalism is like no real rival to how things should be interpreted.
Welcome back to Right View Nation, the home of unapologetic patriotism, common sense, and the truth the mainstream media won't touch. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe right now, because this is where we hold the left accountable, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. Folks, here we go again. Senator Mazie Hirono, the far-left mouthpiece from Hawaii, just gave us another masterclass in liberal double standards, political theater, and blatant disrespect for constitutional values. And let me tell you, she did not disappoint, if you were expecting another cringe-filled leftist interrogation. She sat across from a judicial nominee, Mr. Tong, and instead of vetting him fairly, she launched into yet another ideological witch hunt. This wasn't about qualifications. It wasn't about judicial temperament. No, this was about pushing the radical left's social agenda, plain and simple.
I asked the following two initial questions of all nominees to ensure the fitness of the nominees to serve. So I'll start with Mr. Dunlap and then Mr. Tung. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No.
No.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No.
No.
Can't hear you.
No, Senator.
So, Mr. Tung, you have been asked questions about originalism, and you are an originalist, correct? You have written about it, the importance of originalism.
Senator, I subscribe to originalism, but I would be bound by Supreme Court precedent.
Well, sometimes there is no Supreme Court precedent. So let me just mention that pretty recently, in March, this past March, you wrote, quote, "In my view, there is no real rival to originalism when it comes to the proper method of interpretation." And you noted at the same time that, I'm quoting you, "Originalism recognizes that there may be hard cases, but most cases, including the high-profile ones, are not hard, whether there's a constitutional right to abortion, same-sex marriage, sodomy, pornography, transgender protections. The answer for the originalist is simple: no." Do you think that all the members of the United States Supreme Court share your perspective and your view on originalism?
Senator,
Yes or no?
Senator, I understand the justices on the Supreme Court hold different views on the method of interpreting the Constitution.
So not all of them hold your view that originalism is like no real rival to how things should be interpreted. So, Mr. Tung, as a lawyer and prospective judge, do you believe that court orders must be followed by parties to a court unless and until they are ordered by overturned by an appellate court? Again, yes or no? Should court orders be followed?
As a general matter, Senator, court orders should be followed by the parties that are bound to it.
Well, I don't know what the general matter is. You know, you should. I would think that court orders should be followed. So, do you believe that someone who contemplates disregarding court orders is qualified to get a lifetime job as a judge? Yes or no?
Senator, you're asking a question that implicates a current issue, and under the canons of judicial conduct, I should not and cannot answer.
Well, you know what? There should be judicial conduct that says all judges should believe that judicial orders should be followed. So you know that this is a matter of concern to quite a number of us on this panel. So you were asked various questions about your views on the role of women and that women can do certain things better than men. And I take it that you believe men can do certain things better than women. And the fact that you may have held these views 20 years ago doesn't mean that you no longer hold those views, because I held certain views when I was in college, such as public service is a good thing. I still hold that view. But yet, when you were asked whether you still believe in these gender roles, which are very limiting, frankly, in my view, you said that the canons of ethics prohibits you from answering. So do you, I mean, that's like, this is going to be a live question. Should you become a judge in the Ninth Circuit, do you actually think that there could be a live question on whether or not a woman's gender role is going to come before you?
Senator, questions relating to, for instance, the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause could come before me, and for that reason, I consider that a live issue, and I wouldn't be able to answer under the
Okay,
canons.
well, you know what? We didn't talk about the 14th Amendment, which, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, is supposed to provide equal protection for everyone, regardless of race, religion, etc. But frankly, what is happening with the 14th Amendment is that it is being weaponized, in my view, that this is a Supreme Court majority that is not exactly holding the 14th Amendment to provide equal protection for everyone. So I just have one more question. You talked about what you call the radical left. What do you mean by radical left? People on the radical left are saying things that are not truthful. What do you mean by the radical left?
Senator, I am unsure from where you're pulling that phrase. I don't have the context to answer, Senator.
You do remember talking about what you consider to be radical left. Mr. Chairman, I hope that I can submit some questions for the record, and it's so disturbing to me that there are some of our nominees who think that they don't have to really respond. I hope that you are not among those, because I will have some questions for the record. Mr. Tung?
Appreciate it, Senator.
Okay, thank you.
Let's break it down, patriots. First, she asked the nominee if he ever committed sexual harassment. Fair enough, right? But then she used his calm, professional answers to pivot into a total ambush on originalism. You know, that scary idea that judges should actually interpret the Constitution based on what it says, not how it makes liberals feel today. He said he's an originalist. Good. That's what we need. But Hirono? She couldn't let that stand. She launched into some sanctimonious rant about how originalism supposedly denies rights to abortion, same-sex marriage, and transgender protections, as if the job of a judge is to rewrite the Constitution to fit her radical worldview. Sorry, Senator, but originalism is not your enemy. It's the foundation of American law. The Constitution is not a living document that magically transforms to accommodate every woke trend. It is a contract, a sacred promise. And if you don't like it, there's a process for changing it. It's called an amendment. Try reading Article 5 sometime. And then, of course, she tried to trap Mr. Tong with her classic yes or no theatrics. Should court orders be followed? She asked. When he answered thoughtfully, like a real judge should, she mocked him for not giving a soundbite. These people don't want thoughtful jurists. They want activists in robes. That's what Hirono was fishing for. But it gets worse. She tried to paint him as some kind of sexist because of views he may have expressed 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Last I checked, we were supposed to believe in rehabilitation and growth, right? But not if you're a conservative. If you're a conservative, every college opinion, every offhand remark, becomes a lifelong scarlet letter in the eyes of Senator Hirono. And don't even get me started on her weaponization of the 14th Amendment. She claimed the Supreme Court is using it against minorities and women. What absolute garbage. The 14th Amendment protects equal rights, not special treatment. But in Hirono's twisted world, equality means preferential policies as long as it benefits her base. Then she brought up the radical left as if it's some imaginary boogeyman, completely ignoring that she is the radical left. She champions race-based policies, undermines originalist judges, and bullies nominees who don't toe the progressive line. That's not senatorial. That's ideological tyranny. Let me be very clear. This kind of grilling isn't about justice, fairness, or protecting Americans. It's about silencing voices that disagree with their narrative. Mr. Tong kept his composure like a true professional. Hirono, on the other hand, exposed the ugly truth. The left doesn't want judges, they want political enforcers. This is why we must stay loud, stay proud, and stay vigilant. The radical left is working overtime to twist our Constitution, bully our nominees, and weaponize every hearing. If we don't push back, we lose everything that makes this country great. Subscribe to Right View Nation right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Senator Hirono out of line? Was this another ideological ambush? Let your voice be heard. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your freedom-loving friends, and keep fighting the good fight. This is Right View Nation, where we never back down. Ever.